Okay. Welcome, committee. Happy New Year to all of you. And I want to call the DEI Committee of Estacada to order. Today is January 9th at 5:03. And I can do roll call. Let's see. Commissioner Roshto.
Here.
Commissioner Anderly.
Here.
Commissioner Andrews.
Here.
Commissioner Beatty. Here. Commissioner Smith.
Here.
Counselor Prokop is here. And Commissioner Garrison is running a little late. I know he requested the Zoom link, so I think he's planning on Zooming in. He's not here yet, though. Okay, we need a motion for our consent agenda. If y'all have read it. The minutes.
I read it, but with my mind,
Okay, it's in our emails.
and mine are on my office desk.
Do I hear a motion?
I motion to approve.
Second.
All right. On to committee business.
All those.
Oh,
in favor?
sorry, we have to vote. Sorry. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. And it looks like Travis just joined us too. Mhm.
I missed it, but I'm sure it's great.
We were just voting on the minutes, so
Perfect.
Look at them.
happy new year.
Same to you
Great.
guys.
So we are on to goal setting, update and development. I have printed for you, and this was included in your packet, the goals from our last year and where we are on those. And I think a good idea just to go through those, see if they're goals that we still need to address, if we want to carry them over. And then if there are things we want to carry over, we can add them to the new project list. Okay. So the at the top of the list was community engagement. And so we did create the one sheet. It's a living document, so I'm sure be updating it as it goes along. We did create a list of community groups. We have not scheduled any meetings with any of those community groups. And I know that's something that we had planned to do this year. And you still have time because the calendar runs for the fiscal year. So it's July 1st through June 30th. So you still have time before this year is up to schedule those. And then next was explore option of a youth council. I just got that email from you, Erin, but we can add that to the next agenda to look at that youth council and explore that. I know that's something that you guys were very interested in. It's something the council is interested in. So if we don't get that complete this year, you guys want to move that one over to next year?
Yeah, we need to complete it. Right?
What?
We need to complete it, right?
Yeah, well, it's something that's on your goals. So your goals are set by you. If it's something you guys want to complete, then if we don't get it done before June 30th, probably honestly like June 1st, because then the school goes out for summer. It's a little harder to do things with the youth. Then you're probably going to want to roll it over into the next year.
Yeah.
Okay. And then next was our focus group. Listening sessions. So we did create our initial survey. We posted it. We got the results back. And then we discussed these meetings with the unincorporated Estacada being kind of focus groups, but we haven't scheduled any of those meetings this year. Yeah.
One thing that I was thinking about just yesterday was the sort of point of contact when we do this community outreach in person.
Can
Uh,
Travis, is he in the mic? I just want to make
And,
sure Travis can hear.
sorry, I don't, I'm usually a very loud person, so I don't like to get too close. There's been discussion of town hall meetings happening. I mean, against my sort of better judgment, maybe that's a place that we can engage the public directly for input, not necessarily to try and explain or defend our reputation or whatever. I just know that there's been a lot of discussion about this committee. So I think that if we can show that we're willing to listen and sort of engage directly, that might be an opportunity for us
Yeah.
to pursue.
Yeah.
But it's going to be heated, I'm sure.
So am I hearing that there's kind of consensus about adding a kind of town hall for your next?
Well,
Pub-
yes, as those things develop
Goal?
and they get planned, and I don't think there's any specific
Down the
dates for
pike.
that. Just
Yeah.
yet.
Down the, okay.
And maybe with church groups, I was thinking like, we meet with the pastors and or the board.
Mhm.
Because it's kind of like, well, generally a congregation is, anywhere from 40 to 200 people. So like, I don't necessarily want to go to the pulpit
Yeah.
on Sunday, but maybe speak directly to,
I know when we did the community group list, there's a pastors association. I can't remember the term for it. And so that might be a good place to start because that is pastors from a variety of different churches here
Okay.
in the Estacada area.
and do they have meetings amongst themselves or that's
Yes.
obviously, okay.
Yeah.
Great. That's it.
Okay. And then work with other committees, the child care options that passed this year. And then the accessible play equipment with the Parks and Recreation Commission. I don't think that they have addressed that, but I know that they're looking at updating the parks plan. I don't know if that's next year or the year after, but that might be a good place for you to engage with them is when they look at updating the parks master plan, similar to when we engaged with, the transportation system plan. Yeah.
I would like to propose something.
Okay.
Okay, we're throwing all these ideas of how can we do this? How can we get community engagement and childcare and all this kind of stuff? There are almost every city that is around us has a DEI committee. Sometimes it's not called DEI, sometimes it's called EDIC. But this is literally a 30-second check. Clackamas County itself has a committee. Oregon City, Lake Oswego, Happy Valley, Wilsonville, Westland, all those have DEIs, more have, that's just, I got tired of looking. So one thing that I do at my job and I'm good at is I can make programs. And the way I do that is I go find the same program that's successful somewhere else and see what they did. I'm proposing that we network with other DEI committees and find out how they did the things that we're proposing to do instead of building the wheel. Ask them how they did it.
Okay.
Could that be added as I don't know what you would call that, reaching out to surrounding your neighboring communities?
Yeah.
Does somebody do DI training? Like,
Yes.
There's a lot of DEI
Yes,
training
there's all,
throughout the
because-
state, all
yes.
over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
I mean-
almost all major corporations have DEI training programs through their HR
Right,
departments.
well, and we also have essentially $100 a month allocated for this commission. Have we spent any of that money?
No, you've not spent
Um,
any of your
Right,
funds.
which is kind of, maybe that's something that we could hire out for a training session or something.
We can hire out for a training session. We can contact them and ask them if they hired out for a training session. What we need to do is first contact the people who are successful at doing what we want to do and ask them how they did it.
Right.
I would suggest that we not go to cities that are not like Estacada.
In what way?
I mean,
Size wise?
I think we should, if you go to a city, go to a rural city that's comparable.
You mean budget wise? Is that what your
Mhm.
concern is?
No, more the population that they deal with versus if you were to go to Happy Valley, that's high income to middle income. You're not dealing with the
100,000
same
people.
demographics.
Okay, so we could choose a city that has similar demographics, that has a successful program and see how they went about it.
I think that's a good idea.
My question would be, what gauges success? What is a successful DEI program? Because I would say, I would agree that you need to be very careful with who you're asking for help, because having my own experience with an absolutely, from my perspective, an abysmally performing DEI program, I would not want that for Estacada. I would want something, much more understanding of the city, or of what the people are looking for.
Right. I would propose that we bring them our goals. These are our goals. Do you have goals like this? How would you suggest we do it? To places that have similar population as us, if that's what you want. But other people
That
haven't
makes
done it and they're successful at it, and they have a way of doing it that's successful. So we need to see what that was. How did they do it? How did they get their goals of reaching the people who have no voice?
Like, does Canby or Malala or Sandy, do they have DEIs?
I don't see one on.
I'm not sure if the city
think
itself does.
That's part of the issue that we're running into here, is that there's a fairly, I mean, this is the elephant in the room, is that this is seen as one of those elements that creates a city's ideology, or you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that's more welcome some places than others. And I think we all know exactly what that means. And that's essentially the work that we're set out to do. So, Travis, are you speaking specifically about your experience related to the department that you work for? Or that's not a city?
No, I'm speaking specifically about the city of Gresham
Okay, so you
and
did your
how
training.
their program has been, how their training has been brought to their employees.
So the PD does the training through the city? Is
No,
that correct? No.
no,
Okay.
no. The
Do they
city of
just hire
Gresham
out a
has
program?
their own. What's that?
Do they just hire a program to train you? Where does the training program come from?
No, they had a director. They have a director, and that director has been in charge of how and what training programs are used as it is brought out to the city of Gresham staff. And the rollout on how that was done was it was poorly done, and it was done in a way that caused division instead of unification, and it caused a lot of just for a lack of a better term, just again, a lot of division between departments and a lot of division between even people within departments, instead of bringing people together. And that's what we don't want. You're absolutely right. DEI is not something that is embraced by everybody. It's so making sure that you're bringing the message of DEI out to people in a way that is going to get us on the same page and bring people together is very important if it is to be successful.
This conversation is kind of tricky. I don't think we need DEI training. I don't think we're in that place. I think what we need is more of the community. What was the initiative of the
Engagement.
people who just wanted to come in and engage all the different pockets? Like, how do you engage diverse communities especially like in a rural setting like this? What was the community, the initiative of the people who, oh yeah, heart and soul. So I mean, that to me is like having people who are skilled facilitators, who are, I wonder, almost like the Oregon Humanities, they do a lot of different programming around diverse populations. They do things for rural and urban and all different types of areas. And that might be something to look into, is bringing an Oregon humanities conversation out here. So I think just somebody that's skilled at facilitating difficult conversations and how people can come together and find commonality is a better starting point for us than just going to, we need DEI experts. We need people that can help us bring people together around common
Right,
goals.
right. And I don't think that all the people on these other committees got DEI training either.
No.
I just think that they've been doing it longer than we have. I mean, if you look at the Clackamas County DEI page, it's impressive. For all of Clackamas County.
I think that one was disbanded.
Really?
I think that I believe that the commission,
They were talking.
the
about
commissioners
it.
did elect to divvy up all their responsibilities to other
Hmm.
committees.
And it's,
But on their website, it still lists it
Yeah.
as a committee.
because that's what I found.
Uh,
But I agree, a facilitator, yeah.
Yeah, I think the word engagement is really what this is all about. And I think that's one thing as an action point that we can focus on with this committee is maybe our truest sort of initial cause is trying to create a pathway for civilians and members of the community to engage with how changes are made and how decisions are made as it pertains to the city. And rather than try and explain and or reason our way through sort of what people's assumption is of a DEI, we say, well, this is what we're trying to do. We're not talking about XYZ. We're talking about how do you become a participating member of your community through engagement. So, but I think, Aaron, you're right about, I mean, I've hired business coaches for businesses before, and I'm like, it's pretty much, $5,000 for you to tell me how to organize things.
Right,
Um,
right.
so I don't think we need to spend our money that way necessarily.
I think we're finding our way. I really do. I think we're finding our way. I think we're gonna find our way for Estacada. I don't necessarily think we need to be trained, but
So do we want to, when we get back to our goals, do we want to add a goal or amend a goal regarding community engagement and maybe outreach to other communities who have been successful at community engagement for tips and ideas?
Well, to be clear, I wasn't suggesting training
Yes.
as such. I was,
Okay.
I was suggesting sitting down to coffee with a bunch of people and saying, how did you do this? I do this all the time.
Yeah.
How did you do this? What are some ideas? Who can I talk to? Give me an email address.
Mhm. Do we, yeah, but.
Work, it's work.
Yes, and it sounds like the consensus among most of the committee is they want to do this kind of focusing on the engagement portion.
Mhm.
So other committees in other cities or organizations that have been really successful in the engagement portion.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe just to sort of summarize, Estacada DEIC engages neighboring communities, to, I don't know what you would say, solicit their feedback or something, or their experience. Yeah, and is that the kind of thing we could do sort of individually? I mean, like Denise is saying, we go to coffee with somebody and chat it up for an hour and then report back to the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you guys decide that that's one of the things you want to add to your goal list, you can each do that individually. We'll put it on an agenda and everybody can report back.
How far ahead of time do I need to add it to the agenda?
Well, I mean, so obviously this agenda is really full. We have a couple things on upcoming agendas that are required by code, like we're going to have to look at and approve a budget. And then we'll have some turnover for seats that are going to be opening. So we'll have applicants that we'll have to interview. So maybe in a month or two, depending on
Okay.
how busy it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll give me time. Okay.
sounds good. All right, so are we moving on the
Okay. So
goals?
sorry to
Yeah,
be
no problem.
so talky. I have a question because the Arts Commission, sat in, I should say, the Parks and Rec sat in with the Arts Commission last week and, within planning some upcoming events at, Wade Creek Phase 3, again, the issue was brought up about accessibility with the paths being gravel and, the, potential of them getting paved. So I think one of the things that I heard from yesterday's meeting is that these kind of issues aren't being directly addressed, but my question, it's a question and a comment, just to put it on the record, is whose responsibility is that? If we bring that issue to the city, or I think we've already all talked to the city council about that, how do we get traction on deploying money for the sake of accessibility as it pertains to those walking paths?
So you guys can make suggestions for things to include in the city budget. Like last year, you guys suggested to include additional funding for interpretation and translation.
Mhm.
So you can say, we would like to add in the next fiscal year's budget, paving for the paths in Wade Creek Park.
Okay,
Do we have to initiate the estimate? Or would that come like the parks or,
Public Works.
Yeah,
takes care of
Yeah,
that.
Public Works can get an estimate for you.
Okay, like I said, I talked to that group last week about putting this on the record with this committee so that we can have another record and move forward. So would that be like I show up and make a public comment?
So what we'll do is, at the next meeting, we're gonna, after we go over our goals, that'll give us a good idea of our projects for the next year. And then the next meeting, we'll go over the budget. And we'll go over the budget of what this committee wants to spend. And then at that point, you can also say, we also recommend these budget items for the city. And then I will take that back and Public Works can go through and review how much that's going to cost, give an estimate up for that. We can look at the SDC funds and if they pay for that and if we have the money for it. And then it would go to the budget committee and the budget committee would look at including it in the budget. And then it goes to city council.
And that deadline is April for the budget?
Yes, April for budget.
Is it possible to donate whatever unused funds the committee allocated for last year to that sort of effort?
like a rollover? For this year, we could,
Yeah,
but does it roll over from year to year or?
It doesn't
Yeah.
roll, it doesn't really roll over from year to year. And it's like different pots of funds.
Yeah.
So park funds are in a different pot than say this kind of fund. Because it's going to be a capital improvement fund for the park.
And then where does the money in the pot go at the end of the year if there's any left?
So if you guys don't,
Sorry.
if you guys don't spend all of your money, I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's still in the general fund.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's not like the money's gone, but it's not in the same pot of funds.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
Yeah, it's like you can't spend park SDCs on streets. We can't take the money that has been spent, that has been contributed for streets and put it into the wastewater plant. I
And
mean,
general funds go to,
general funds are
is what
general.
creates the budget for.
Yeah.
Is that where our funds came from?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, your guys' funds come from general funds. You know, there's a general funds is kind of the largest unspecified pot. And it's a little easier to spend out of general funds than it is kind of these restricted funds for most of the infrastructure projects, which is where most of the park funding comes from.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm gonna add for next year to the, you won't see it up here because this is a PDF, but add that you wanted to address community engagement and have discussions with other committees. That'll be on next year's project plan. Okay, and then we're back here, we're working with other committees. These are city committees, and we already addressed childcare options with the planning commission. We should probably, it sounds like, leave the accessible play equipment with the Parks and Recreation Committee on here and roll that over. And then the ADA ramps, the city got a grant and they just funded that. So we didn't really need to address that with the Traffic and Public Safety Committee because it was just funded.
Can we put that down as a completion?
We can put it down as complete. I mean, we didn't talk to the Traffic and Public Safety Committee about it, but it was something that was done regardless.
Okay, we'll claim credit for that.
That way well.
Okay. Is there anything else that you guys think that you want to do working with other committees next year? Is the kind of the general header working with committees something you want to keep when you're rolling into next year's goals?
I would like to see tabling of events that other committees do.
Yeah.
So you'd like to see the DEIC at the events?
Yes.
Oh, like when there's arts in the park or
Yes.
music that.
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry.
yes.
Okay.
In that case, can we have a little signage created so that we have like a little?
We can use our
Uh,
budget for
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we have budget.
Pamphlets. that they send out.
I
Uh,
do, so I think other than tabling, which I think should just be on there, but I think finding a more formal way to connect with the different committees, because I don't think it's habitual yet in how they may bring things to us or we might bring things to them. And so I think we need to build in the formality of once a year going and attending one of their meetings and maybe asking for time on their agenda to just reintroduce the committee and talk about how we might be able to support them in the work that they're doing.
We had a brief discussion, Denise and I did, about having maybe even like a pamphlet that sort of gives a summary and has a couple bullet points, but maybe had some more general questions that people could like submit, like, do you feel like your experience is represented in Estacada? You know what I mean? Just as a lot, kind of like the survey, but a little bit more open-ended.
Do you
A
feel
little bit
heard?
more feedback oriented so that we can be like, we're a vessel that you can communicate with the city through, you know what I mean? And that kind of thing, and give that information to people so that they know, again, how these routes of engagement can be established.
But yeah, because isn't that our core purpose is
Right.
to let people be heard, to find out who's not being, you want to be heard. Are you being heard? And if not, then come on over.
So are you looking maybe to revamp the one page?
Why don't we
To
just do it
include-
back to back? I was thinking, why don't we do survey on, or whatever input on the back of the one page? And we can revamp the
Oh,
one
yeah.
page as y'all want to do it.
But yeah, almost like, how the Gideons roll around with their little Bibles and they're like, here's what we have on us as DEI. This is like our preliminary question for everybody in the community. Is your voice heard? Are you being representative? Do you have any concerns? That kind of thing,
If
and-
not,
right, exactly.
give us your comments. I
Right.
mean,
This is your
give 'em
chance.
space to write.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is you guys want to create another survey? And this could be hosted online like the last
No.
survey?
I'm not sure that that's the format though.
Okay,
I don't think it's a survey. I think it's
Just general
establishing,
feedback.
establishing that this is a committee that you share this type of information with. And it sounds like, because I wasn't in the conversation, but it sounds like it's more questions that get people thinking about ways that they could interact or benefit from interacting with this committee. So just more rhetorical type questions
Mhm.
and then contact information, how they could reach out and share that information, but maybe reformatting or adding somehow to the one pager, it could be turned into some type of thing that has that information on
And
it.
how would that be distributed?
Through the
tabling.
Table.
That's tabling.
Yeah,
I mean, I think that's a really effective face-to-face
It
old
is.
school way of doing things.
Yes.
It
Is
is.
just, and then also too, I mean, I love the like rebranding effort. Getting away from sort of trigger labels. And then also when people, I mean, that's the thing that's so brilliant
Yes.
about Estacada is like, once you meet your neighbor, then it's all good, you know what I mean? You just having that connection of being like, you know, that's the bond is this is your community member, not like, I'm gonna seek out the differences, but I'm gonna find the commonalities in the bond. So
Yeah,
I
we
think
need to
that
find
that's
the
a good,
commonalities. You're right.
right, I mean, and then I think that's, you know, a good way of doing things is being at the events, shaking hands, talking to people, having conversations, so.
Elena, are there more plans for What's Up, Stacata?
No, it sounded like, at least from the council input, from the council goal setting, is that they'd like to do town halls instead. Yes,
Okay.
What's different about a town hall and What's Up?
Formality?
So they want more formal.
Yes.
The town hall is more formal?
The town hall, so the What's Up Estacado had tables with individual either committees and agencies, and it was very, you know, you go and talk to the people that you wanted. In the town hall, the format is more, we'll do a presentation kind of on a specific topic and then receive and answer questions related to that topic.
What about informational, just in general, like the What's Up Estacada? I honestly don't remember deciding either or on the town hall versus the What's Up Estacada.
don't either.
I mean, we could take it back and see you know, the goal setting from the council, it should be overarching. It not necessarily what, like, if the goal is we want to do more community outreach and we want to do town halls, that doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to do What's Up.
Okay.
I think that's what you're getting at.
Yes.
Okay, so then the issue is, does staff have time to do both? And, you know, that might be a larger question among the staff is, okay, could we alternate and do a town hall 1 month, What's Up Estacada the next month, or, you know, do one each a quarter?
Gotcha.
I think the town hall setting gives people a voice more than the What's Up did. So maybe that's where that's coming from, but then you lose the whole ability of tabling and
Yeah.
being able to all these committees, because it seems very we seem, honestly, because I watch the YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, there's a new committee video. But like, they're so different. I mean, every committee is so different and they're so disconnected, and none of us are connected that I see to the city council, because the city council is not saying, hey guys, come talk, let's all talk together. They're not saying stuff like that. So
I think
it's a good point. I mean, how do we reach the community if we don't have the opportunity to do so?
I think part of it is labeling, because I'd never heard of Estacada What's Up, but if you say Estacada Town Hall meeting, I know I can picture that. I know exactly what that is mostly and exactly how it'll go. I'd never heard of this other way of going about it before. And so
Is there a way that it could, I mean, I know we were talking about how maybe we'd have to rent the auditorium at the school, like if we can combine informational tables with a
The
town
town
hall.
why not?
That seems
Yeah, if
kind of
we,
like a no-brainer, right?
if we have space, like
Yeah.
if we're renting the auditorium at the
Mhm.
school, we'd probably have space. If we're doing a town hall here, I mean,
No.
there have been times where we're, you know, into the hallway and
Mhm.
out in the parking lot.
Mhm.
So yeah, that, you know, it's entirely possible that we could combine the two. Or to Denise's point, when we're talking about what we're labeling it, I know something that the city has done in the past has been like a community involvement fair or something like that, where you had all these volunteer opportunities and you can come and learn about things, you know, not just like the city, but, you know, the CERT and the volunteer firefighters and those other options. And so that might be something that we could consider doing again.
Elaine, is that something that could be hosted here? I mean, obviously, this is kind of the center point and people are familiar with it. And then to sort of recreate the setting of What's Up,
Mhm.
but have it be, you know, because weren't those mostly hosted at the library?
The what's
Here.
up, we
Here.
alternated
Okay.
locations and dates and times in
Okay.
order to try and reach a wide variety of audiences.
Yeah, I mean, I think that both of those things are crucial, and clearly that's the message sort of in review of the city council meetings, is that people want more, a little bit more back and forth and a little bit more time to get their point across.
They want to be heard.
They want to be heard. Yeah, I mean, and again, that also speaks to the need for engagement,
Mhm,
right?
The What's Up I went to was not well attended.
mhm.
The
So-
library one
I
in the
wouldn't have known
evening
what that
was.
If you said there's a what's up going on at town hall, I would have been like, I would have thought it was teenagers or something. It doesn't.
I went.
Well, it didn't, it came with marketing information. It wasn't just a tagline. I think it explained what it was in the social media marketing.
I like that they're doing town halls. I do think that's gonna be helpful for the old schoolers, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of us who don't like social media.
So I
So
don't know if the discourse is in a place where it's going to be productive and
Maybe
be
not.
solution oriented.
Yeah.
It
Popcorn.
seems like it will be a hot mess unless it is well facilitated and maybe has a moderator who is not part of the city staff or city council.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty extraordinary burden to fall on city staff. So my condolences on that.
We can use our funds for a moderator.
We're buying you each a bottle of
Hmm.
whatever,
it's
whatever
good.
you'd like for
it's good,
hosting.
though, to give people a voice, and I don't think they've been felt like they're being heard. So I think even if it is a little hot mess to begin with, I think it's gonna be overall good.
Mhm.
So anyway, are we?
Okay, so it sounds like you want to update this to say you're gonna update the one page. And then add in here, work with committees, tabling at other committees' events,
Or just community events.
or just community events. Okay,
Yeah, but I mean, circling back around, it's really vital, I think, for us to sort of circle the wagons a little bit for all of these different faculties that are participants of the city. I mean, the people that are volunteering on behalf of the city, because that's what we found just last week was the parks and Park and Rec is doing one thing, the Arts Commission is doing another thing, and everyone's looking for volunteers and everyone wants it to be better attended, and we're all like trying to do the same thing,
yeah.
but we haven't circled up and been like, we're all a team. So I think that anything that can go into, and
So that was part of the goal. Last year, we had the committee summit, and I think you attended that, Mike, right?
Yep. I
Yeah,
did.
and Erin attended it, and that was one of the goals, is to, you guys each committee to talk about their goals, what they're planning on working with, and see if there's ways you can work together.
yeah, I think maybe is that there hasn't been another one planned.
So when we planned that last year, we planned it after everybody would have done their initial goal setting.
Right.
So I think we planned it in February last year. I'd have to look at the
I
calendar.
wonder if it should be done before the goal setting is done so
Mhm.
that the collaboration or it's more about here's our vision, what we want to do, and how can we bring together our visions to come up with goals that are combining our efforts.
Mhm.
Didn't they have it on a Saturday?
They had it on a Saturday. We
They
could
do
do it on a
day
Sunday.
Other than a Saturday, that would be great. It doesn't even have to be on a Sunday. It can be any day, actually.
It's-
Just not
yeah.
a Saturday.
It's kind of hard to find a weekday that works for everybody, which is why we did it on a Saturday last year, but we can certainly look at a Sunday too.
I think it might be good if you guys coordinate with each other to attend other committees, just to be sitting there.
Yep.
Like, make sure that happens. I know that was kind of a goal, but yeah.
Can we include that?
Yeah,
in
so
the goals?
include it in your work with committees.
Well, yeah,
You could do a sign up sheet for, each committee,
Mm.
and
then we
somebody
just
can
need
pick
to-
a month.
chop it up and put it on the schedule.
Okay.
I
Who
think that-
does the
I think
sign
that's-
up? Do I need to do a sign up?
I can look at all of the committees and create a schedule, and then we can just bring it to like the next meeting and people can sign up.
Okay.
Okay. And then so do you want to add kind of under this committee being the lead for this, another committee summit. Is that something you guys want to look at? Either we could do it next month, which would be kind of quick, but if you guys wanted to take the charge for that or look at next year, is that something that you guys are interested in?
Let's do it. Let's try to do it next month. We could try. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Well, because essentially we're just dropping the idea and seeing if everybody else is available. Is that
Right.
kind of the idea? We might as well throw it out there. I mean, definitely one thing that I'm learning is that this is an annual planning thing and nothing in government happens fast. So we really do need to maybe plan a year ahead as well.
Okay.
But I mean, I think that again, the more that we can engage different committees, the better.
Did we ask for any feedback after the summit to see if the different participants felt like it was a valuable use of time, or if there is a different format or some other value that they could get from it?
No, I mean, it was the first time that it's done it and we didn't ask for feedback.
I wonder if just an email out to all the
What-
committees.
There was like a survey or something that I got after
Did I?
that.
I mean,
I could
Maybe.
be completely making that up though. Why'd you just scour your email for 20 minutes looking something?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this on
let me
imagination?
research that and see if I did. If you think maybe I sent you guys out something, I mean, I could have. This is a year ago.
Right. Yeah, exactly the point. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we can certainly, email all the other people who attended. I do have the RSVP list from last year and we email them all out and say, hey, was this valuable? Do you want to do it again? But you're going to be running into a short time frame if you want to plan it again.
I don't know if I felt like it was valuable in the sense that we worked together more.
Right.
I think we saw people and had names and faces and heard some of what people are working on, but I don't feel like we got into any discussion of shared activities, shared goals, things that we want to work toward together to reduce the redundancies or to maximize the number of volunteers that we have focused on a smaller amount of projects. So that would just be my feedback, is that if it was to happen again, it would need to be a lot more focused on how we can work together and support each other.
I have an idea.
Mhm.
What if we didn't do it like you did it last year, but instead had each committee bring 3 people or whatever number you want to use from each committee to represent their committee?
Liaison.
Yeah. And to sit around like this and talk about, stuff, right? So tell us about your committee. So how can we as DEI work with you and how can you work with us? And, you can have a better conversation when you're all sitting down talking versus just meeting each other at a table, or, maybe you don't ever meet somebody because you're only talking to somebody that's talking to you for a half hour. I mean, you know what I mean? So,
The summit was kind of a meet and greet / these are the issues we're dealing with. So listen to us for a little bit, you know what I mean? Rather than like Aaron's saying, trying to create more cohesion and make things more streamlined. So, but I mean, maybe that's what I'm gonna call it the pizza project is chopping up pieces and sending somebody to sit in with other committees so that they are like, oh, DEI wants to get engaged, or at least is here to listen to the discussion and what's being planned and that kind of stuff. So, because I mean, I think that's again back to the objectives, is to bring the lens to all of these different things that are happening in the community.
I think it's also challenging them to, look at of your past projects or events that you have hosted. Do you know who is attending and who is not attending? And do you need support in reaching out to groups who aren't actively participating or engaging with the events that you do?
I do like the idea that Tammy had, but I wonder about public meeting
So like last year, we didn't have a quorum from any of the individual meetings. And so because there's not a quorum, you don't have to have it broadcast or have the Zoom or anything like
Okay.
that.
Well, I think it would be a good idea just to be able to sit around and actually put a face to a committee. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, if you guys want to pick a date, I can send out an email. And then you guys would be the leaders and facilitators for this meeting. So we, pick a date, we have it here at City Hall. We can see which staff is available to unlock City Hall and turn on the lights and et cetera. And then you guys facilitate and lead the meeting. If you feel you have the capacity for this.
Michael does.
I'm. I would be, I'm also corresponding with my teenager right now. Yeah, I would like to do that. I'm motivated to do that. I feel like that's worthwhile. I'm not ever convinced that I'm the most palatable point person to meet and or interact with groups, especially that have a preconceived notion of what DEI is. That being said, I am more than willing to engage in that outreach on the committee's behalf.
I think Tammy needs to pick a date and then we go from there.
So we're on January 9.
And if you guys do it, you can't have a quorum. So you'll have to pick 3 members.
Okay. I would like to be there. I think Michael should be there because it actually would be really good if we could get chair and vice chair and then one other person from each committee, because then chairs, vice chairs know each other.
Well, and
good
there
idea.
are, I mean, as far as the summit goes, there are sort of like the budget committee, like those guys are kind of like super anomalies, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't necessarily translate as directly to what we're talking about. So I don't think that we need to do the whole team. And maybe we sort of are a little bit more choosy about who we're reaching out to, and then we don't have to be as formal as far as any kind of quorum or any.
Well, the quorum comes with how many individuals
Right.
from a committee
Right.
go. So
I mean, so 3 and under is the magic number, right?
are all committees have the same number of people? No.
No, some of them have less. But I think like I think the library board has 5. I don't even know if the library board came.
Right. I don't think they did.
And what their role is similar to the budget committee. It's not, it's not really, they're not planning the kind of public engagement events that say the Arts Commission or the DEC are doing.
If we're not having quorums, we could have a happy hour.
Right. I mean, and maybe that's important to make it a little bit more loose and a little bit, just so that
If you
people can.
plan
Sign
this,
me
you
up.
More
don't
enjoyable.
have to do it here at City
Yes.
Hall. You can plan
Anywhere.
this and have it somewhere else, as long as you are not having a quorum, because then it's more like a subcommittee work group. You just have to come back and report on it. I don't know if you want to do happy hour,
No.
but maybe
Can we
coffee.
say that what we'll do is if you can write us out an outline of the different schedules for the different commissions, then next month we'll all sort of maybe sign up for one, or maybe we'll do 6 months at a time. Or maybe I'll sign up for them all. And then we'll just go be present at other commissions meetings and then sort of lay the groundwork for this is what we're trying to do. You know what I mean?
So what if we kind of, okay, so you said April is the deadline, right?
So in April,
But-
all the committees present their project plan and their budget to the council.
So what if we did like late February to give people time? So like maybe 25th, or we could do 18. Or we could do March 3rd, either of those work for me. but I can't do Saturday, so. Sorry. So if any of those,
Committee after hours. I'll just keep throwing out all the good ideas.
well, I'll be sober.
So you could like send out a survey and explain that, you know, whatever committees you're gonna email is not gonna be enough to have a quorum, and then these dates are available. What do you think?
I would, since it sounds like, what Tammy's suggestion is the chair and vice chair, at least email the chair and vice chair from each of the committees. And we could, if you want to pick a few dates, if you want to say, what'd you say, the 25th of February and then the 3rd of March?
Mhm. To give them a couple options, we could even do 18 if they could really whip together and make it happen, but that's
Okay.
kind of, that's kind of quick,
Mhm.
so.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm fine with doing it here, if we could set it all up and it's a nice meeting space, we could see each other.
Or the community room at the library,
Yeah, the Wade Creek, I'd have to look at the
or
calendar.
the Flora room even.
Mhm,
Yeah, look at the
library would
calendar
work.
just to see what's on the schedule.
Mhm.
Okay, so it sounds like that's something you want to do right now. And then also add to your goals for next year. Right?
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. Um, moving along, we had the update lens as needed and review the equity lens. Do you guys want to keep that on there? We haven't reviewed it yet. I know we had some issues with quorum, so, but is that something you want to review every year or?
I think the lens is good. I don't
Okay,
know. What do you guys think? Think it needs to be reviewed?
I think we didn't review it because we didn't even get through the discussion with city council about it. And that's where we stopped.
That brings up another issue of if we're gonna have a sit down with city council, or if we're just sort of letting that peter off a little bit.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
so I think the city council is gonna have a meeting and they're gonna look at all of the committees. So not just specifically this one. I do have your draft language that you guys voted on last time, and we can take that before council, but it sounded like council wanted to look at all of the committees.
And their accomplishments.
Uh,
and-
I think they kind of want to add an economic development commission. And in order to do that, we don't have enough, like each committee has a staff person and some staff people are staffing more than one committee. So we don't necessarily have enough staff for every committee. So it's kind of looking at all the committees, are the committees that we can combine, or, you know, how would we manage this?
And I can tell you, if they're an economic development committee, they're definitely gonna have to know their way around DEI issues because all economic development committees need to address that.
So are they gonna get rid of us?
It's been discussed. There has been a discussion of making it sort of a secondary commission. That's sort of there when you need it. You know, to be quite frank, the summary from Monday's planning, as far as what I saw, was extremely critical of the DEIC. So it is. Yeah, the discussion has
It
already
did
started.
seem as though any analysis of the committees was going to be a biased process
So the
without a
discussion
rubric or
at
some other thing
the
created.
workshop. So,
Yeah, that was the city hall workshop. Also, to be quite frank, again, the summary or the paraphrasing on the part of one of the commissioners or the city council members was not completely accurate as far as their interaction with our committee and what was discussed and what has been accomplished or not been accomplished. So I can say fairly confidently that, things are being, they're coming after, they're trying to find a reason to come after this commission.
So, so if
City
this
council
was,
member was this.
You
Uh,
could, the videos on
He's
YouTube.
an interim appointee. He was appointed and not elected.
Okay.
I just want to make the suggestion, I mean, this is probably not the right time, but I would love when we do that evaluation that we invite the committees to answer
Yes.
questions.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good
Is that
idea.
something that we can do?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
will they have us? That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, yeah.
it-
When we've discussed committees in the past and what their roles are, or if we're gonna adjust it, usually they come in and they'll do a joint workshop.
Okay. That feels a
So-
little more judicial.
so because I've been watching the meetings and I haven't heard, so this
It
is
was a workshop.
Yeah, I started watching the newest workshop, but I haven't finished it.
Yeah, it
Um,
was like 5 hours.
Oh, yeah, I'm out. Yes, it was a
Wow.
long meeting. I saw that.
Yeah.
So but then they had their regular meeting, didn't they, last night?
Yep.
So so at that meeting, was there specific things to our committee that were on the agenda? No.
Not last night.
Okay, so if there are things that are on the agenda from now on, can you or Heidi alert us as a committee?
If the DEIC was on the agenda, it would be a joint workshop. We would make sure to invite the committee.
So maybe we should, as a committee, be going to every council and workshop meetings. I
If-
mean, maybe
I mean,
not
if-
all of us.
I was gonna say, if you have the time, it's a lot of meetings. They
Well,
meet
yeah,
twice a month.
I
so-
realize that, but.
And
maybe
you can
not.
put that on that sign up sheet for the committees, right?
Yes, yeah, yep.
Oh, good.
But I
Very
don't think
good.
you have an
Just see.
opportunity to have a back and forth conversation.
Yeah, you got 3 minutes in public comment when if you're gonna address the city council, per session. So again, back to the town hall setting, that's why people want to have a little bit more of an open forum, to engage the council with. They want more than 3 minutes. But yeah, we have to kind of, take we're gonna have to fight for this. And we needed to have a strategy. So if we all, and I think everyone here believes the work is important, then we need to at least be confident enough to tell other community members and city government why it's important.
I agree.
So is it just one council person see, I don't know where this is coming from. So I obviously need to go watch it. So
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
We did not get into a deep discussion
No,
about
we,
it.
we did not.
It was just a starting of it, and then it was just squashed, like, this isn't the time. We need to bring
Yeah.
this up later.
It wasn't, I don't think it was meant to be a flat out. We need to eliminate, but that's
the
definitely the undertone of the
Fancy this.
conversation.
Okay. Back to your goals.
Yes, sorry.
So your next, it sounds like we don't necessarily want to put updating or reviewing the equity lens on here.
We can
That's got to be inherent, that it's a living document that
Yep.
is adjusted as needed.
Yeah,
Good way.
I agree.
Sounds good. Okay. And then next was to inform city council and staff. And we had three projects under there that were, two of them related to the TSP. And then the third one was childcare. And those were all completed in the past year.
Yes. Is there any,
I was like, where?
there's new, meetings scheduled around the building design, what is that?
Yeah, what update us
Oh,
on
the
all
design
that?
review committee?
Yes.
Oh, there is one coming up for a project.
Is that ever anything that?
Yes.
needs-
So if you guys want to give feedback on things that are land use related, I am going to recommend that you have a lot more training, because
Okay.
the Oregon state statutes have very specific guidelines as what you can use as evaluation points for land use or development applications. And so like this design review committee meeting, the only things that they can address are the development code, design code specifically for the downtown. And that's not necessarily things that are going to be under your guys' purview. Like you might want to think, hey, we want to make sure to address affordability. So our new housing development is going to be affordable. That's not something according to state law for land use that you guys can address.
So is there anybody at those meetings then who is hearing those questions and responding in that, like, we hear this concern, here's where you take that concern
The
and help?
developers are there to listen to concerns.
Okay,
right,
but I mean,
and-
to like, if people have concerns that are not under the purview of
Right.
of this meeting, to be sure that we are being transparent and clear and giving them the correct path to address that.
Some like if concerns are bring, let's say affordability, if concerns are being brought up for affordability, it is how can the city address affordability? There's really not a whole lot of ways that the city can address affordability. And
Right.
and
I just
while
mean
it's
like
not a-
educating people, because
not
I
a
think
good
people come
answer.
with the misunderstandings of
Yup.
what is able to be accomplished, and
Yeah.
helping them understand, if you're really concerned about this, then this is the correct path to pursue.
So I think Taylor and the planning team do discuss, here is what you can address. So if you want to object to a specific, or you have concerns about a specific project, the only things that you can address are things that are in the development code. And I don't know if people understand that. And I think we've said it several different ways. It's really not an easy concept, which is why I was like, if you guys want to do this, I want you to have more education, because it's not an easy concept. Reviewing the development code and seeing how you can address land use and development projects. So yeah, they do say, here is what you can address. Here's how the process works.
Okay, so question I have is, would talking about, I had a problem with the fact that they're not putting any ground floor units in.
So that for this specific development, what you're addressing is that the city council voted on and discussed updating the downtown code. Now, that downtown code is not going to impact that development because that application came in prior to that code being changed. So even though they haven't done the design review committee, because it was put in, they have to address the code at the time that the application was put in. So that about downtown apartments is not going to be addressed in that application. Now, if you had wanted to come and attend the code discussions, then you could have come and attend the code discussions and discussed. And I know there was people who did attend those meetings and discussed, hey, by not allowing ground floor, it's hard for you to have, ADA accessible
That's right.
apartments.
That's right. That's my concern. And yeah, okay, I just didn't realize that that was the code that they had changed for the new applications.
Yes.
Okay,
it's
so
only
if this
applications going
doesn't
forward.
apply under that though, then my question would still be, because I listened to the developer when they were talking on one of their meetings, and he said, no, we're not putting units. I think they had one unit that was on the lower floor.
I have not seen their new application. I haven't seen it, but I think that they still are having ground floor units.
Oh, they are?
They want to.
Yes.
Okay.
So it'll just depend on if they meet code. When is
Yeah.
it, January
Oh, okay,
22nd?
I see.
Yeah. So
And then if
yeah.
not, then they'll put in another application and then
Okay.
we pass that. So that'll apply and they won't be able to have in the ground floor.
Oh.
The
Oh.
the issue related to ground floor apartments with their last application, with their initial application, had to do not with the apartments being on the ground floor, but with the transparency level. So it was like 60% of ground floor has to have transparent elements, which is a lot of window space for an apartment.
60% of the structure?
Yes, of the outward facing. So when you see this, if you're going down Broadway, you have a lot of like bay windows for like display windows, which is why that's written for that. And it doesn't necessarily translate well to apartments or easily to apartments.
And just for my own clarification, I'm sorry. You're talking to downtown apartments, this whole project over here.
Yeah.
The
Estacada
lakeshore
Lake.
apartments, yes.
Thank you.
Now, they can adjust their design to meet that criteria. It's just has to do with, their architect and how they drew it, that their requirements are to meet whatever is in the code.
Technicality is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So they may or may not get approved.
Yeah. and just
Go from
because
there.
something gets approved doesn't necessarily mean it even gets built.
That's true.
Right, that's true. So where are we adding town hall? Remember our early on discussion, we talked about adding town hall in here somewhere. You're gonna add it in, right?
Yeah,
the
under the
engagement.
engagement, under the community engagement.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. And then, but we can put inform city council staff, and I don't, we have code updates here. I think that staff are going to be reviewing several codes, and we can kind of have it on the staff radar, on the development team's radar. Is this code going to be something that would be impactful for that the DEIC should review? So some of them might not be, some of them, might or might not be. I can't think of any off the top of my head that they're going to have to review. But like recently we updated the code for how we charged for stormwater. Because we charge for stormwater based on impervious space, which is built space, so that it doesn't absorb rainwater. And we weren't charging when it was vacant, but we're still using that. And so they changed the code to update that. So we're charging based on just the impervious space, not if it's vacant or there's somebody there. And so I don't know that that necessarily is something that needs to come before you guys. But then if there's something else that we're addressing, like say we're addressing, building codes, maybe that's something that needs to come before you guys. So if you guys want, we can just cut out where it says TSP updates and childcare, but just leave code updates as needed.
Are there any other projects for next year that, like large projects?
The wastewater treatment plant.
All right.
We don't have any, we don't have, the water master plan is in the process of being updated right now. And so we could, if you guys are interested in that, we could look at bringing that back, maybe in February or March, if that's something you want to take a look at.
Possibly. I mean, I have no idea what it looks like to even imagine where we would overlap or have input.
Yeah, so the water master plan looks at the water system. And so it looks at what capital improvements we're going to have to do to the water system, how we're using the water system, the aging of the water system. It also looks at things like the seismic requirements to maintain the water system. So if an earthquake happened, what needs to happen to our, water treatment plant. And a new requirement that's going to be in there is a water conservation plan, which is probably going to be the one that you're going to see the biggest impact for like our residents, is this water conservation plan, which will have steps that once we reach a certain threshold in like production or usage that we're going to require. So if we get to say 75% production, and we haven't developed this yet. This is just me making this up. If we get to like 75% production, and then we're not going to allow outdoor watering between the hours of, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. or during daylight hours to help conserve water. So those kind of things will be in the water conservation plan.
Is there anything in the water master plan about infrastructure replacement? And how do we determine which areas get replaced in our, like, that's where I see DEI is like, what neighborhoods are being selected for replacement or
Yeah.
upgrade?
Yeah, so part of the water master plan addresses things like infrastructure. And so we look at like, where do we have the older pipes that need to be replaced? What pipes do we see potentially having I&I issues, which is infiltration and inflow? But there's those kind of things will be addressed in there. And generally they're addressed in kind of the oldest that needs the most repair to the newest. Okay, so next on your plan from last year was participation, accessibility, and review after community meetings. And so we looked at that. That was part of the survey, right? Is who knows about these meetings, who hears about these meetings. And I don't know if you want to move that forward, if there's anything you specifically want to look at there.
Won't that be handled by the tabling events that we were talking about?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
We can just continue to gather
Yeah.
information and add it to the survey results. And then when we have like a body of data, we can talk about it.
Sounds good. And then budget for translation, we are going to be, that's already in the budget last year. It'll roll over next year. So I don't know if you want to, if this is where it says budget for translation, we could just leave that budget. And then I don't know that you guys want to review the entire budget, but this might be where you could talk about like what Mike was talking about. And are there projects that you feel like should be added to the budget?
And that's so hard because we don't know what's already in there and what's already identified.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last year's budget is on the website. We can look at last year's budget. A lot of that will be, a lot of it is operations and maintenance. So it's staff, it's, what are we paying every year for upgrading plants, or, what do we pay for the community events that each committee puts in there? That's all in there, and it should be similar next year.
So if specifically the path at the Wade Creek Park is something that is identified as inaccessible, that needs to have different material put down. So I think moving that forward would be important, but what is equally, if not more important, is to go back and look over the process and how that material was chosen and what we can learn from that so that we don't repeat that type of decision again. That seems like something this group would do, is like go over like, how did we get here, so that we can make recommendations for future planning.
Yeah. And that's ultimately, isn't that kind of, the city should have brought us in on that conversation?
When that project started, I don't even know if you guys were created
that was
yet,
like probably
because
4 years ago.
And was that material deemed sufficient? But then in reality, it's not.
well, the ADA standards for parks allows for gravel, and whether you feel that's sufficient or not, that's a different question, whether it's, legal. I know that we had originally planned putting concrete or asphalt in some places, and we couldn't without taking out a bunch of trees, because you have to dig down and it would have impacted the tree roots.
Yeah.
And so that's a balance. Did you want to, put in this material that is considered ADA acceptable and leave the trees, or take out the trees and put in a material that would be more accessible?
Right. That makes sense.
Yep. But that's exactly what an equity lens would do, is go through those questions about materials and accessibility and help guide those conversations.
Right. Take into consideration the proximity to the retirement community that's next door, that has a gate that opens up to the pathway. You know, those kind of things. So, it seems like the gravel compacted pathway would be a perfect template to lay asphalt on top of, in my very unprofessional building experience.
Yeah.
Um,
So again, it might be
Oh,
something that we
stop
work
it.
with somebody from Public Works to identify if there
Right.
is what the solution menu is, and then bringing those different options forward with input from community members who are impacted by the current
but I bet
substrate.
that- Yeah, I bet that asphalt can't be used that close to
Water.
to the water. That's probably the issue.
Yeah, I don't remember. I just know there was one specific place when we were going over the tour that we were like, this was gonna be this here, and we couldn't without taking out these trees.
Yeah.
And so the decision was made, taking out the trees plus cost. So you have the cost of taking out the trees, of digging down whatever it is, 6 inches, 8 inches, a foot, whatever it is that you have to do in order to put down. Yeah. I don't know of any major parks planned in the next year. I think that parks, they are looking at the splash pad, and they're gonna have to look at where to place that. And so that might be a conversation where the Parks and Rec and you guys can get together to discuss locating the splash pad, because we don't have the ability to access the necessary infrastructure in Wade Creek Park where they wanted to put it.
Don't
The
forget about
plot
the pickleball court.
thickens. Mhm.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that can be something you guys can have a discussion with them about, looking at different locations and, you know, who's going to be using that, and what would be the best location for accessibility for that park.
Okay, so you say we can have a discussion. Can we do that in one of these meetings so that not only is it us talking with them, but the community can also hear the meeting and hear how that decision is made and who's making it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know when this is coming back before the Parks and Rec Commission, but we can look and see if we can do a joint meeting that month.
Yeah. Open to the public.
They're
Well,
all
yeah,
open to
because
the
they're all
public.
open to the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, any committee meeting where you have a quorum that is considered a public meeting, then that's open to the
Okay.
public, and you have to have the Zoom link, and you have to do, you know, the minutes and agenda, et cetera.
Okay.
Okay, is there anything you guys want to put on your goals for next year that we have not discussed thus far?
Save the committee.
Yeah, be here next year.
I would like to figure out, and I've thought about it and I have no idea. How can we get access to people? I run across people all day long in my line of work. They don't have computers at home, or they have a computer that's so old, it's basically worthless. And how can we help them get internet to those people? I mean, isn't that also what we do, is the people that, so they can be heard?
Wasn't there, I just saw a flyer about free internet for qualifying families through
Yes.
the school district.
Yeah.
Is it, or is it a city thing?
It's not a city thing. I know that there are government programs through the state where you can get internet coverage, phone coverage, and
Mhm.
even get like a cell phone, depending on your income level.
Yes.
And-
Digital equity.
Yeah. So that would be, you know, I don't know how we would connect to those people to tell them about
That's
those
what I'm thinking. Yeah. How do we
programs.
how do we say, hey, we're over here and we will help you. Come to us and we will help you. How do we?
And I don't know that that's necessarily either our role to help them connect to other government programs. You know, the DEIC's role is to help people connect to the city. And this is kind of like, let's say it's a DHS program. It's kind of a, you know, hard for us to say our role is to help you connect to the state.
Okay.
Mhm.
But if we know there's a critical need, then we can amplify the issue and work with the city to promote, I don't know, it goes on our flyers or something, or, you know, resources available at the tabling events.
This is a different topic, but is there any issue with DEI members attending and or interfacing at school board meetings as affiliates of the city?
I don't see any issues. Are you, like, you're representing yourself as the DEI committee member?
I mean, I think that some of the, you know, equity issues that we're talking about also fall into those categories of what's being discussed and decided by the school board.
So is that something that you might want to put as one of the meetings you want people to sign up for?
Yeah, so
How many
I
people do you
guess
have?
I guess it depends. Do you want to be like a liaison where you're attending the school board meetings and you're wanting to come back and report?
I mean,
Or you wanting to go to the school board meetings and report out what we're hearing here?
the city council or the city government doesn't necessarily have any sort of crossover or overlap with the school board, right?
Well, we have a liaison.
Yeah, we have
One
charity.
of our,
Mhm.
one of the city councilors is a
Yeah.
liaison to
Oh.
the school board.
Okay, this is all learning for me.
Yeah,
Um,
and the superintendent and
Which
the
is
city manager
Charity.
Okay,
and the chief of the fire district meet on a semi-regular basis to discuss like issues upcoming.
okay. I feel like as far as the school district is concerned, that might be a more applicable and welcoming place for DIC to be representing the, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I'm not exactly sure what my point is.
Yeah, I don't know where you're going either. Like we're wanting to engage with the school district in the youth council. That's one of your goals. We, the city, can't like tell the school district, hey, this is what you should be doing, but we can go and tell them, here's the information that we've heard. So if we have done like a survey and we hear a lot of responses that youth in the city are feeling disenfranchised, or youth in the city are having trouble accessing, internet or whatever, that's information that we could take to the school board and say, hey, we did this survey and we feel like this information impacts you and we'd like you to know. But we can't like go and tell them, hey, youth in the city said that they don't have internet access, so you need to offer free Wi-Fi,
I mean, I guess that's more what my initial thought was, is do we have any reach in representing the equity and inclusionary lens as far as it pertains to because sometimes there's wild stuff happening at the school board meetings too.
I think we would need to be invited, and so
Yeah.
maybe there's some steps before that in engaging with
Just
staff at the
going to
school
listen.
district.
Going to listen first. and
Mhm.
then-
Yeah, you guys are always welcome to attend
Reactionary
and
effort.
listen. But if you wanted to actually speak to them, you would want to get on their agenda, and
Okay.
that's the process
And
similar
the
to like
youth
getting on the
council
council.
conversation
That
is a
sounds like a huge can
perfect
of worms.
entry into creating a relationship.
Okay. Thank you. I was thinking of larger cans of worms that I shouldn't probably open.
It's okay.
Okay, so I think that I don't hear anything else that you guys want to add to your goals for next year. And I will take all the information that we've talked about. I'll compile this into a nice little spreadsheet like we did last year, bring it back to your next meeting. We can look at it and then we can also discuss the budget at your next meeting. Sound good?
And you're gonna make us a schedule of all the meetings.
All the meetings, yeah.
And we're gonna sign up
All the city committee meetings and council. Okay,
and commissions.
yeah,
Yeah.
committees, commissions, boards, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Even school boards could do that, could add school board to it.
I mean, I get 1,000 emails a week from the school about all of the events and
So you know what's
including
going
school
on.
board emails, so.
Okay, maybe you don't need to add those.
You don't, you
then.
don't,
We're
you
well
don't need to
informed.
have a sign up sheet. Michael's already on
We get multiple emails a day times 2 because we have multiple students, so.
My kids are out of the schools, so, well, almost anyway. Okay. So public comments are next.
Let me stop sharing.
They're long gone.
I don't think they were ever there.
There are no attendees. It is just Travis and us, and obviously there's no one in the room.
Okay, so committee comments. You want to start with Denise and we'll just go
I've
down.
already made all my comments,
Okay,
but thank you.
I think I've spoken enough this evening.
I don't have anything to add, just absorbing a lot of information today.
okay. I don't really have much to add other than it's always a pleasure to sit on this committee with y'all and I feel like I've become a better person being around all of you because we all have a different perspective. And I really value that.
Thank you.
So,
It's appreciated.
Thank you, Elena, for herding the cats or trying to.
Yeah,
Um,
the civics lessons.
Whew. Yes. Thank you all for being here and the time you put in, the countless hours as volunteers and as staff that stay beyond their time to support our work.
This was really productive. I'm excited. Something lit a fire in all of us, I think. So we'll see what we can accomplish.
thank you, Heidi.
Digital
and
Travis, we need digital Travis.
Yeah, Travis too.
No, I have nothing else to add. Thank you all.
Mhm. Thank you, Elena, for your time, extra time tonight, because I know we've gone over.
It is-
And Heidi,
not
thank
sad.
you too, and to each of you. And we will close the meeting at 6:29.
Thank you.